In a time of darkness and greed, it is your light that we need. You came to teach us how to live. Muhammad, Ya Rasulullah, you were so caring and kind. Your soul was full of light. You are the best of mankind. Muhammad, khayru khalqillah. Sallu ala Rasulillah, Habib al-Mustafa. Peace be upon the messenger, the chosen one. From luxury you turned away, and all night you would pray, truthful in every word you say. Muhammad, Ya Rasulullah, your face was brighter than the sun, your beauty equal by none. You are Allah's chosen one. Muhammad, khayru khalqillah.
That the word tajir was actually started by Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The word tajir is instead of simsar in the times of Jahiliyyah. Now I'll say I'm not an expert on this, and mashallah there are many mashayikh here, so I have to be very careful. So this shows that this kind of work is receiving a great deal of attention. It is being received by a number of people, old, young, men, women, from different parts of the world, different faiths, and so on, because they see the importance of this project. Now, what do we mean by what National Geographic has actually done is also they have produced recently a book for kids out of that 1,001 inventions, so that can be used in the schools and families and so on, rather than go and follow the same pattern of women's lib and suffragettes and so on. Fight your way into the society. You don't have to fight, my good sister, because all you need to do in a Muslim society is to say, I want my right, which was 1,000 years ago, and you'll feel many times better in taking that right, because it gives you what we call, in brackets, equality in society. Muslims now are a candidate for improving upon the world, because they're starting to build their nations. Now I want to look at that. And how can one say, why is it, how did this world in the past manage to live in an economic stability situation? What kind of development, what kind of institutions? And you find that it is actually the individual behavior, the individual person, the human resource, the quality, the unit quality of a human society is what counts. And I tell you one thing, it is linked also a little bit with Oman. You'd be happy to say. Oman? What has Oman to offer to the world? Stability of the economy of the world? How could the Omanis do that? Well, I'll tell you one thing. The behavior of the Omanis, your great-great-grandfathers before, they had a special characteristic in their trades, the way they used to conduct their business.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The Islamic Information Center and Sultan Qaboos Haya Center for Culture and Science welcomes and thanks for the attending this forum of talk on the subject 1001 Invention, Discover Muslim Heritage in Our World, by our brother Professor Salim Al-Hasani. We thank him deeply for accepting our invitation to share us this knowledge on this subject as well as other subjects pertaining to Muslim heritage, which he will deliver during his visit in the coming days as well. May Allah reward him for his efforts in bringing to light the richness of Islam and its history. Before going on introducing our distinguished guest, we will begin by the recitation of the Holy Quran by Brother Ahmed bin Salim Al-Hasani. فليتفضل.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. ولقد آتينا داود منا فضلا يا جبال أوبي معه والطير وألنا له الحديد أن اعمل سابغات وقدر في السرد واعملوا صالحا إني بما تعملون بصير. ولسليمان الريح غدوها شهر ورواحها شهر وأسلنا له عين القطر ومن الجن من يعمل بين يديه بإذن ربه ومن يزغ منهم عن أمرنا نذقه من عذاب السعير. يعملون له ما يشاء من محاريب وتماثيل وجفان كالجواب وقدور الراسيات. اعملوا آل داود شكرا وقليل من عبادي الشكور. فلما قضينا عليه الموت ما دلهم على موته إلا دابة الأرض تأكل من سأته. فلما خر تبينت الجن أن لو كانوا يعلمون الغيب ما لبثوا في العذاب المهين. لقد كان لسبإ في مسكنهم آية جنتان عن يمين وشمال كلوا من رزق ربكم واشكروا له بلدة طيبة ورب غفور. صدق الله العظيم.
صدق الله العظيم. Professor Salim is Emeritus Professor of Mechanical Engineering and a Professor Fellow at Faculty of Humanities, University of Manchester in the United Kingdom. Scholar and authority in the studies of Muslim heritage, in particular the development of modern civilization and Muslim contribution to the foundation of modern civilization. He has delivered more than 150 lectures internationally on these subjects. He had published over 200 papers in international journals and books and edited more than 300 publications on Muslim heritage. In the past couple of years, consecutively, he has been named amongst the 500 most influential Muslims in the world in science and technology field. It is difficult for me to cover the entire spectrum of his achievements. In short, his involvement in this field is vast and has given him a worldwide reputation. Professor Salim will be talking for about 40 minutes, and then we'll have an open floor for questions and answers. Everybody, there is a questionnaire on your seat. Please fill it in and hand it out to us. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for this generous invitation to come all the way from Manchester. In particular, I'd like to thank the Higher Council for Culture and Science and the Grand Mosque for making this possible after the will of Allah, of course. So my respected friends, ladies and gentlemen, how would I start? So what I thought that I normally take a lead from what is said before me, either the verses of the Quran or what the chairman says. The verses of the Quran, they were actually quite difficult. And if I go through that route, it will take some time before we get to the subject of the lecture. So what I will do now is refer to what has been said by our respected chairman. What you have noticed, he has praised me so much, right? Did this, did this, did this, did this. And why is that? Because he wants to position me in a respectful place in your mental model. So you can listen to me with respect, right? So respect is very important for people, right? And you respect people because of what they have done and because of what their past was, not because of what they do in the future, because you don't know what they're going to do in the future. So normally, people are identified with the things they have done in the past. So the past is extremely important. Like individuals, societies, families, they like to be appreciated for what they have done. And by not appreciating them and sidelining them, airbrushing them from history, they get very angry. And that's no good. So this is why it's important that the contributions of various cultures and civilizations into what we have today, when we speak about them, we bring in the best out so that they find a dignified and respected place in the table of the world nations. So if he has overpraised me, I don't deserve that much, but alhamdulillah for everything. May Allah bless the work that we do and bless your work and put a lot of barakah into all that you do. Now, what is this 1001 Inventions, you may ask? And why have we chosen the name? And what do we mean by Muslim heritage? You know, because these are very carefully chosen words. I'll come to them in a minute. But I think in order to what we call enhance the I wouldn't call it marketing, the positioning of our project. There are very short, 2 short films I want to let you have a look at, and it will cut a long story short so that it will make my lecture more effective. I'm going to start with this one. Now, if we can have that light off, maybe, I don't know. It probably will be visible from your end.
Take a look. If you dare.
Could I have the lights off, please?
What's going on? Welcome to the Dark Ages, or as it should be known, the Golden Ages.
We have about 1,000 years of amnesia, which is called the Dark Ages.
In the West, we went through the Dark Ages, and if you like, the candle of human knowledge and understanding was carried by the Islamic world.
That's the story altogether. It's like a shock. Ah, inventions? Do these people have inventions, they say? And of course they do.
1,001 Inventions is a global educational initiative. Imagine a world of science 1,000 years ago that shaped the world today.
This is a world that was lost to so many people, and an exhibition like this brings it back to life and shares all those extraordinary achievements.
I think this is quite crucial because what it does illustrate is the shared heritage that we all have. We talk about a global society today, but equally in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th centuries, the society was global then as well.
This new space is using the historical roots of science as a means and as a tool for social cohesion and cultural convergence, where people respect and harmonize with each other.
Darkness into light, my young friend, from ocean onto land, there are things you should know. Oh, yes, indeed.
Water-powered clock, instruments for measuring the stars, and a darkroom from the 9th century. And on top of all that, it can explain why numbers are written the way they are. A new exhibition traces how the Muslim civilization has influenced science for the last 1,000 years.
It's a wonderful teaching resource we've now got here.
We've learned how to translate words from English to Arabic in a matter of seconds.
They never thought of any of this back then. We would have been having like cameras and cinemas nowadays.
The exhibition is a blockbuster. In London, we had 450,000 people through the doors, similar number in Istanbul. Here in New York, we're beginning to attract large numbers of people into the Hall of Science.
Çok güzel bir yer. Çok güzel, herkesin gelmesini tavsiye ederim. Eski saat falan, geçmiş şeyleri öğreniyorum.
During this period, it may have been part of the Islamic Empire, but there were great Jewish, Christian scholars working here.
Sabian, Hindus, Buddhists.
There were Persians, there were Arabs, there were Turks, there were Chinese, there were Indian. It's just a period in history that people in the West don't seem to know about.
There are women who did things like set up universities, who invented scientific experiments, and they're really celebrated in this exhibition.
It's done with wonderful imagination and flair, as well as good scholarship.
You will learn, but you will be excited.
I just completely enchanted by it.
It's not just nice pictures and electronics. Every word and letter has been thoroughly vetted by academic peers. We have a galaxy of historians of science from around the world.
This is historical fact, guys. You know, it's the world may not know about it, but they should do.
It's a new space. It's a breath of fresh air. We are having a journey to the past, but it's for building and designing a better future. Right. It had actually come to the Arab world, and I'll just show you some comments which were done in Abu Dhabi last year. And I will be shorter. So this time it is in a tent.
العرض كان وايد حلو ومبهر جدا، يعني كان شيء كبير.
I really like it a lot and I'm gonna tell everybody about it.
هذا العرض كان مبهرا.
هو عرض ذهبي طبعا، كثير كان مميز.
كان عرض وايد ممتع، مفيد سواء لنا احنا الكبار او الكبار، يعني اشكركم يعني جزيل الشكر على هذا العرض.
رائع يعني عرض مذهل يعني خليني افتخر امام اولادي، امام المجتمع، امام الغرب، امام اي انسان اقابله افخر انه انا هذه حضارتي.
عرفنا بالحضارات الاسلاميه القديمه اللي احنا ما كنا نعرف عنها شيء، او الجيل الحديث ما عاد يعرف عنها شيء.
It's wonderful to learn about where it all began. عندي بنتي اكبر واحده في اولادي دائما تقول ابغى اخترع شيء، فبعد صراحه بعد ما شفت هذا العرض انا فخوره اني اخليها تشوفه مره واثنين وثلاثه عشان اشجع فيها هذا الروح اللي هي الاختراع اللي فيها.
صدفه يعني رسام وتصميم، يعني انه هو يحفزني وانه انا ابغى اكون مثل العلماء القدماء.
Okay. I'm going to start my slideshow. Hope it will work. Okay. That introduction was really meant to introduce ألف اختراع واختراع, the idea of 1,000 inventions. And it was not just giving an exhibition. This exhibition was based on a book which we had written to suit the ordinary public mind, although it is based, as you have seen, based on thoroughly investigated, peer-reviewed work by reputable people, historians of science, who had to make sure that what we are saying in here is not exaggerated. And the work that we have done through our foundation is non-religious, non-political. It has people from various cultures and different faiths. We're all working together. This book is the first edition, then the second edition was published by us, and then later, last year, the third edition was published by National Geographic. Now, if those of you who know National Geographic, you know that they never publish anything but their own work. This is probably the first time in history that they would publish a book which is a third edition published by somebody else. So this shows that this kind of work is receiving a great deal of attention. It is being received by a number of people, old, young, men, women, from different parts of the world, different faiths, and so on, because they see the importance of this project. Now, what do we mean by, what National Geographic has actually done is also, they have produced recently a book for kids out of that 1,000 inventions, so that can be used in the schools and families and so on. Most of the material is from the book, but is simplified so that so mature children will be able to enjoy it and understand it. And hence, when the exhibition comes and goes, you still have the continuity of the material in the schools and in the public domain. Now, we've already seen a lot of crowds and so on, but it's been appreciated by a large number of heads of state, by politicians, heads of institutions, even some celebrities, like the Mayor of London, even people like, Condoleezza Rice, when she saw what we're doing in New York, she said, you've created something entirely new. This is a new space of dialogue. What she meant is that people have dialogue in interfaith. So you have interfaith dialogue, and then you have also interpolitical dialogue. But this is a new dialogue, which is a space of science. When you look at history and you see it through the political lens, then you find there are a lot of conflicts and wars and hostilities. Similarly, if you view it from the religious lens, you also find various conflicts and hostilities between people. But if you look at the development of knowledge and history, you find that most of those people who have worked in science and knowledge and investigating the natural world, they seem to have resonated with each other, whether they were Muslim or non-Muslim. And there are a lot of people have actually appreciated this, great Islamic scholars. You've got in here the Mufti of Egypt and of Al-Azhar and Sheikh Al-Azhar. You've got Professor Kamaluddin Ihsanoğlu, who's the head of the Organization of Islamic Countries. And then you've got also the United Nations. This man was the chairman of the United Nations Assembly at the time. And the president of Finland, she's very enthusiastic about our work. This is the Minister of Schools in the UK in the last government. And so on, you know, he went round to various countries, like recently in Dawah. As you notice, we produce actors as well, not just pictures and so on. We take from your families, your schools, we pick up some boys and girls, and we dress them up like their original role models, you know, like great scholars and so on. And we teach them what to say, and they become the host and the guides and the exhibition. So that, for instance, Fatim Al-Fihri, who was the builder and the establisher of the first university in history, right, in the year 859, we would take one of the girls, dress her up, teach her what to say about Fatim Al-Fihri, who she is, and so on, let her know about how, you know, the life style of Fatim Al-Fihri and the reason why she has built what she has built, a university that has lasted more than 1,000 years, which is still functioning as a university. It's the University of Al-Qarawiyyin. But I don't want to touch too much on this subject because tomorrow evening I'm going to be speaking about women of science. So, you know, it's good to see women here today, but I think you'll probably be a lot more inspired tomorrow when we focus more about the contribution of women in science through Muslim history. You get, you know, a lot of people. I'm not going to be mentioning who they are and so on. Why is this so revealing and so exciting? Because of something very simple. So when you look at any set of books in schools and in the universities and put all the names of the scientists who are mentioned there and put them on a timeline, right? Like, for instance, modern scientists like today, you know, you put people, Nobel Prize winners, and so on, and so you put them all on a timeline, and you find two things. One is that there is a gap between the